The ASEAN Human Rights Declaration could not be clearer. It states that every person has an inherent right to life protected by law, a right to personal liberty and security, a right to freedom of religion, a right not to be subjected to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. That, ladies and gentlemen, is embedded in the ASEAN Charter. No one could say that these rights are currently being adequately defended in a Rakhine state. It is not just about Rohingyas being Muslim. We want them to live as Muslims are instructed to do, as responsible minority, fully respecting the laws of the country in a non-Muslim state. But the current situation is a stain on ASEAN itself and on the community we declared here in Kuala Lumpur, in this very building at the end of 2015 under Malaysia's chairmanship. We in ASEAN, ladies and gentlemen, must live up to what the community stands for. Otherwise, it would be a community in name only, a disgrace to the visionaries who came together to found ASEAN 50 years ago. We will have failed them if we do not do our utmost to avert the catastrophe that has been unfolding for the Rohingyas. Ladies and gentlemen, in the same spirit of openness, it is important to note that there have been some positive developments and some efforts by the government of Myanmar to tackle the issue. We are encouraged by the establishment of the Ministry of Ethnic Affairs, the Central Committee for the Implementation of Peace, Stability and Development in the Rakhine State, and the Rakhine State Advisory Commission. However, we believe that much more can and much more needs to be done to resolve the problems in the Rakhine State. We strongly urge the government of Myanmar to provide unimpeded access for the delivery of humanitarian aid to the affected areas. At the same time, we call on the government of Myanmar to facilitate the safe and dignified return of refugees to their homes and communities. The root causes of this problem must be addressed urgently in their entirety, with a view to finding mutually favorable, long-term and comprehensive solutions for all the parties involved. We call on the government of Myanmar to cease all discriminatory actions and attacks against the Rohingyas immediately, and for the perpetrators to be brought to justice. This must happen now, not in a few months' time, when Kofi Annan's committee is due to report. No people who are being persecuted should be expected to endure months of committee meetings before they are afforded protection. The government of Myanmar disputes the terms genocide and ethnic cleansing. But whatever the terminology, the Rohingyas cannot wait. Not when they and their families risk being burned alive in their homes. Not when their wives and daughters are being violated. Not when the communities are being destroyed. There are people left destitute and dispersed. Not when the future of the young people, their education and what they should be and what should be the hopeful dawn of their adult lives is being destroyed before their very eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia has consistently voiced its concern about the plight of Rohingyas. Furthermore, we have and will continue to provide humanitarian assistance through our NGOs as well as temporary shelter for Rohingya migrants currently in Malaysia, pending the resettlement by UNHCR or eventual return to Myanmar. And our assistance in Myanmar is not only for Muslims, but for all who need it in the affected areas. Presently, Mercy Malaysia has successfully established static mobile clinics in Sitwe, Rakhine State, in collaboration with local NGOs as part of its ongoing efforts to render healthcare services to internally displaced persons in Myanmar. And we are planning for a flotilla to bring aid, food to Rakhine State. And I'm pleased to be able to announce that Malaysia will contribute a sum of 10 million ringgit to assist in humanitarian efforts and social rehabilitation projects in Rakhine State. The fund will be used to build infrastructure such as educational and medical institutions and will contribute to development there and improve the quality of life of its people. Malaysia will also continue to extend our support to human resource development through the Malaysia Technical Cooperation Program, MTCP. Currently, Myanmar is the largest recipient of MTCP, and the capacity building initiatives it provides are an important part of striving for a viable long-term solution. I encourage and I welcome any pledges of assistance from other member states. Indeed, I call on the OIC in the spirit of Islamic solidarity to recognize that it is our collective responsibility to assist our brothers and our sisters in the Rakhine State. It is incumbent upon us to do all we can to save them from the humanitarian tragedy that they are suffering and to help provide them with a future that is safe, sustainable, and characterized by the dignity that should be the birthright of every human being. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia has always subscribed to the concept of wasatiyah, or moderation, which espouses the values, mutual respect, understanding, and tolerance. In line with this, we believe that any discord should be resolved peacefully in accordance with the principles of Islamic teachings. As a multi-ethnic and multi-religious nation, we hold on to these values dearly, and we have done throughout our journey of nationhood. We believe that wasatiyah can and should contribute to building a more peaceful, secure, and equitable world. Accordingly, we call on the government of Myanmar to promote interreligious and intercultural dialogue, to stem the spread of discrimination and prejudice against Muslims and members of ethnic, religious, and linguistic minorities across the country. I hope that through our deliberations in these halls, we will collectively be able to propose actions and measures to address the situation of the Rohingya Muslim minority in Myanmar. It is the duty of the OIC to keep the international community focused on the plight of the Rohingyas, and I thank you all for accepting Malaysia's invitation to urgently discuss this today. Ladies and gentlemen, we fight for the rights of Rohingyas, just as we continue to do so for our Palestinian brothers and sisters. The adoption of Resolution 2334, which was promoted and co-sponsored by Malaysia at the United Nations Security Council, echoed around the world. Although Malaysia's term as a non-permanent member of the Security Council has ended, Malaysia will continue to play an active part as a UN member state in efforts towards finding a peaceful solution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. We will continue to support the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people for an independent state of Palestine with the realization of two states, Palestine and Israel, living side by side, based on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as the Palestinian capital. Ladies and gentlemen, Today, we have a new struggle that we must all come together to support for the Rohingyas and for an end to the pain, deprivation, and death that they have suffered for too long. We cannot stand by and do nothing. We represent 57 countries with a combined population of over 1.6 billion. Our charter enjoins us specifically to assist Muslim minorities and communities outside the member states to preserve their dignity, cultural and religious identity. We must be equal to this challenge. We must show that this organization is truly the friend and guarantor of Muslims everywhere. We must show that while we may have our differences, the Ummah will come together. We will come together in the defense of our brothers and sisters in the time of need. Let us hope that Allah will bless our noble endeavor, and for the sake of the Rohingyas, for the sake of the Ummah, and for the sake of all humanity. I thank you.